Okay, this video is looking at troubleshooting in two major areas. Actually, there are two minor areas. They're nuisance areas within the SunPlus world that we still have to deal with these statements. The two areas we're going to cover are error messages and expands. This is to show you a little bit about what to do if you're getting, so you see and recognize the error messages, and also what to do when you get them slightly. And then secondly, how to manage your expands in your financial statements. So let's do error messages first. We'll get started. Okay, what I have done is in my demo set of financial statements, the same ones I was working with on the last video, I have gone through and seeded a few errors so you can see what the error messages look like. So here on the balance sheet, you can see we come down here to a bottom, and our assets are $2,004,004, and our liabilities and net assets are $2,003,003. So this error message here comes up: assets do not match liabilities and net assets. So there's an internal check very similar to what you would write in Excel, has been written in the cell. You could see the formula down there, okay, and it is checking whether those two match each other and throw up an error message. If these two numbers were out, it would throw up another error message right here. Or actually it's hidden because there's no error message, but if there is one, it would show up. So last year's doesn't balance. Okay, it checks whether your error message about whether your net assets on your statement of financial activity balances back, and whether the net assets here balance back to here. And so it is, and then let's look at one over here in cash. Okay, so this cash right here is on my notes, and my schedule, detailed schedule of my notes, come to $649.30, and on my balance sheet is $641,930 because of my seeded error, stuck in an error. Okay, you see, so this is thrown up an error message. Okay, so what we want to do is look at what to do if you're getting these error messages. Well, if I were to get this error message about cash being out, the first thing I would do is come over here to my cash account and drill down on it by account to see what accounts are included on the statement of financial position, and compare it to what accounts are being picked up here to see if there's some sort of error in my coding. The number one problem that would cause these error messages that are, I mean, there's lots of problems. I could have made these financial statements incorrectly. Plenty of places there's mistakes. But what problems that are your fault type of problems if you create accounts that are not in the standard range, or you don't follow the standard as far as required analysis codes. So if you've created all of your accounts strictly following the chart of accounts and all of your analysis codes correctly and coded it correctly, then your statements are not going to be wrong. It'll be my fault. So you're looking for where perhaps there's been an account created that are outside of the standard, and so this might help you find it. So if you drill down on your balance sheet on that number, and you found what account was not showing up here, or vice versa, then you could see if you've made an account, created an account incorrectly. Okay, there's also possible that I've made a mistake, in which case you'd want to contact me and get me to fix it. So the way these error messages are created, let's take a peek at the way they're created. We're back in design view here, and I do a cross sheet reference, and every cross sheet reference anywhere in the financial statement, since they're so sensitive to mistakes, and getting messed up. Every cross sheet reference is highlighted in yellow, and we do have a few in these new financial statements, but just a fraction of what we used to have compared to the old financial statements. So that's good news. The basic principle about cross sheet references is do not add or subtract. It's almost like the Bible. Don't add a jot or a tittle. Cursed is he that adds to or removes from. Do not add to or subtract a row on the statement of financial position. Okay, it'll just mess everything up. So if I added a row right here on these financial statements, it would take me about an hour to get all the cross sheet references down and these other pages all fixed. Okay, so just don't. If you want to delete a row, you can just hide it. And let's see, I might be able to show you how to add a row. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 20, 21. Nope. No such luck. Okay, I've used up I had a few hidden extras in here that you could perhaps add, but just hide whatever row you want to hide. Okay, and if you desperately need to add a row, then I will consider adding it or think about helping you add it. But every one of these cross sheet references will go bad. If we added a row at this level, all the error messages immediately turn red, and we get error messages on every page. Okay, so these error messages bring the value from the statement of financial position here, and then the formula right here compares the calculated value on the note to the value brought from the statement of financial position, and determines whether it should light itself up or not. If they're the same, then it will not show, and if it's this number minus that number is 0, then this error message doesn't show up. Okay, if that makes any sense. Now all the error messages show up in design view. Okay, so don't let that bother you. That's good. Okay, you could see them here in design view. When it extracts, if there's no error, they disappear. And so that's error messages. All right, and they're all over the place. You see accounts receivable. Look down here, the self-check right here, and notes receivable. We'll go down here. Okay, so you can see where the check is here, and all these error messages are there. And by the way, you can see these red marks here tell you where you need to drill down on. And you drill down on these values. This is for the administrative costs, and you replace the values there. So this guides you every place that you have to determine administrative costs. That was from last time's video. Okay, so I hope that was clear about the error messages. All right. And so that is that. So be very careful with these cross sheet references. Very dangerous to be messing around with and getting messed up. And the way they get messed up is by adding a row to the statement of financial position. You can add a row to this sheet and it will not mess up the cross sheet references, just the statement of financial position, which is different than what we had in the old financial statements. In the old financial statements, if you added a row to the balance sheet or to the income statement, you started getting error messages. Well, here it's just adding a row to the balance sheet. Okay, all right, if that makes any sense. Okay, the second area that we want to cover in our little presentation now, all right, is about expands. And in expands, there's a little clue. First off, if you don't know about expands, you probably ought to study out what an expand is over in the Q&A training. Okay, learn a little bit about expands and become skillful in that, because we do use expands. And let's look at a few expands. Here we have and expand, and you could see, I don't know if it's going to pick up on the video, but right here in that cell right there, if you look at it with your magnifying glass, there's a little E. That E tells you that that number should have expanded. There's an E right here saying that that number should have expanded. Okay? And so what we're going to do is, I have all of the expands seem to be cut off here. And so what I'm going to do is fix all the expands. When you get the financial statements delivered, you're supposed to, all the expands are supposed to be working. This is all about, if they're not working right, what to do. Now, so here, let's just do the expand here. It's so simple, it's hardly worth even teaching you about. We'll do it like this, and we will specify, I'll show you the long way, and we're going to expand here by function. Function name, and then this is the little trick that's important to remember. We come over here to options and we uncheck that create a new worksheet. Okay, and then it expands. Now notice that we are not expanding these values here. In contrast to the old financial statements, when you expanded these on the old financial statements, it showed you departmental information. That is not according to the accounting manual, so we're not going to do it. If you want a departmental report, you need to make your own departmental report. So here's another E right here. Okay, so we'll come down here and expand. And so since okay, and then we come down to the same thing. This will be a little bit boring, but I want to make sure I cover it well. And then we go options. Sorry, I did it wrong. All right. So I want to I hit the wrong thing. Here, expand. Specify that I want to expand by function. Name. Come over here to options. And don't create a new worksheet. Okay, so the expands are all right on that page. Okay, then we come over here. We're going to do the same thing. Sorry if it gets a little bit slow. Specify. Okay, this is not going to last forever. Function. You see I did it wrong. I'm glad I did it wrong so you can learn. Excuse me, I incorrectly created a new worksheet. So I want to right click that, delete the worksheet, and do it again. Do it correctly this time. So I put it right here. Learn from my mistakes. Specify. Okay. Function. Okay. Function name. And then remember to come over here to options. Create a new worksheet and uncheck that. Okay, and the expands are getting good here. Let's see, we've got to expand. There's a little E right there if you can't see it. So we expand, specify, options before I forget, criteria, function, name. Okay, so those expands are working right. There's no expands on that one. You'd see little E's. I happen to know where they are, so I can go to them fairly easy. Okay. Let's see. There would be some under offering and agency. Now you could see that these have expanded already. So I have nothing to do because all of this has been expanded correctly. Okay. All right, so there's nothing for me to do there. Notes, all right, nothing to expand there. Tithes and offerings, all right, now this other capital income, this is supposed to be expanded, so you could see the E there. The total here is to be expanded, so we expand, specify, and then we're going to expand on this one by account description, okay. And you may ask the question, and well, let me just get that one done. So it's just one account making that up. And then we have, that's all. All right, now I think I have my expands right. So I'm going to come up here to drill path maintenance, expand, save over. to save the expand. Now, this is the part that is sort of new for a lot of people. They don't understand this. But I'll right click on this, go to Workbook Properties, go to Options, and I can make this so it automatically extracts the default drill path. Okay, extracts the default drill path. So sometimes it's easier to switch this over to normal. So you have the normal where it prompts you, do you want to expand the drill path of the primary sheets? Okay, get your expands working correctly, and then switch it back over to here. Okay, I know it's a little bit confusing what I just said, but this is going to extract the default drill path. Well, if you're not happy with the default drill path, you need to send this thing back to normal, expand the primary sheets, extract the primary sheets, do all of your expands all new, save the drill path, and then change the setting back to extract the default drill path. Okay, I hope that makes sense. In the chance that it doesn't make sense, let me explain it again. If this is set on normal, when you do an extract, it asks you, do you want to extract a primary sheets or the drill path? Okay, when it is set at this value here, it does just the drill path. It doesn't give you a chance to do the primary sheet, which is really nice and works great if you're happy with the drill path. If you're not happy with the drill path, then every time you run it, it takes you to this unsatisfactory drill path. So what you have to do is come back over here, change this to normal, extract the primary sheets, correct your drill path, save your drill path, and then come back and put it back to this setting here. Okay. All right. And so that is fixing it. Now, there's one little small thing. You may say, I'm not sure if I can remember all of this about expands. Well, if you come over to the design view of the worksheets, and there's instructions about what needs to be expanded sitting here in this right-hand gray margin. So if you're a little bit unclear about what to expand, change this hide thing to no, which will leave this showing. Extract the sheets, do your expands following these instructions over here, then run it again under yes, and all these instructions will disappear, but your expands will continue to work. So I hope this helps, and at first sign of questions, just email me or leave a message at the bottom of this video, and I'll help you get it straight. This should be a good time for me to mention that it is very possible that, there's probably plenty of mistakes I've made in creating these worksheets, these financial statements. All you have to do is let me know where you're having a problem. In particular, what is useful is if you will extract the sheets and export them out to Excel, and then write me notes or circles or whatever that help me see exactly where things went wrong. Okay, so thank you for that, and stay tuned for our next video. Our next video is on investments. You may or may not want to watch it, depending on if you have investments or not, but it explains how under the new financial statements we're going to do accounting for investments.